All right, Mr. Ghere back again. Solve by factoring worksheet number 2. I've written out the brackets for us. Maybe get through this one a little bit quicker. So on number 1, if we're going to solve by factoring, it's a trinomial. Two numbers that multiply together to be negative 10 and add together to be negative 3 would be negative 5 and positive 2. So then my answers would be the opposites, x equals 5 and x equals negative 2. Number 2, again, you could solve by taking square roots. You could add 25 and take the square root and get plus or minus 5. Or we can factor as the difference of two squares to be x plus 5 and x minus 5. My answers are then the opposites of the factors, x equals negative 5 and x equals positive 5. Number 3, we can factor a common term of an x out front. That leaves us with x plus 4 in the parenthesis. A factor of x gets a solution of x equals 0, and this gets us a solution of x equals negative 4. Two answers. Number 4, x and x, the two numbers that multiply together to be negative 35 and add together to be positive 2, are positive 7 and negative 5. So my answers are negative 7 and positive 5, opposites of my factors. Number 5, x minus 3 and x minus 2 would be my factors. So my solution would be positive 3 and positive 2. Number 6, x and x at the beginning, the two numbers that multiply together to be 6 and add together to be 7 are positive 6 and positive 1. So then my solutions are negative 6 and negative 1. Number 7, we're going to factor out an x. All right, and then we're going to have left an x minus 4 in the parenthesis. Oops. All right, everything's all right there. X minus 4. So we have answers of x equals 0 and x equals 4. Number 8, just like number 5 with a plus in the middle instead of a minus. So x plus 2 and x plus 3 are my factors. So my solutions are negative 2 and negative 3. And number 9, x and x, the two numbers that multiply together to be 35 and add together to be 12 are positive 7 and positive 5. So my solutions are x equals negative 7 and x equals negative 5. 10, same idea, x minus 4 and x minus 2. So my solutions are x equals 4 and x equals 2. Number 11, I had to move the 18 to the other side, so I subtracted 18 to both sides, which gave me x squared plus 4x minus 18 equals 0. Now we can use the zero product property after we factor. Two numbers that multiply together to be negative 18 and add together to be positive 4 are positive 6. No. 6 and 3, 9 and 2, none of those work. So that one cannot be factored, so we cannot solve that one by factoring. All right, and we can't solve it with square roots because of this 4x in the middle. So right now we have to say that one's one we can't do. We're going to have to use the quadratic formula, which is coming up next week. That'll give you something to look forward to. Okay, so just let me think through this again. Negative 6, 6 and 3, 9 and 2, 18 and 1. Nope, that's it. So that one can't be solved by factoring. All right, 12 can, or you can be solved by taking square roots. We could add 16, take the square root, and get plus or minus 4. Or we could get x plus 4 and x minus 4 equals 0. So we get x equals negative 4 and x equals positive 4. Okay. 13, we haven't done one like this. This looks like we're going to have to group. All right, so remember what we're going to have to do. Now, if I were given a problem like this, I wouldn't solve this one by factoring, even though it's possible. We're going to do it here in a second. But what I would do is solve this one with the quadratic formula. Anytime there's a leading coefficient other than 1, I steer clear of factoring. But we can do it. 2 times 3 is 6. That's our magic number. We need two numbers that multiply together to be 6 and add together to be 5 now, which we're going to do is 3 and 2. Or 2 and 3, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to make this 2x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 3. I put the 2 first and the 3 second just to group them better. Now I can factor a 2x out of that. That's going to give me 2x and x plus 1. I can factor a 3 out of those. It's been a while since we've done that. That's going to give me x plus 1. Okay, so now I have factors of 2x plus 3 and x plus 1. Now, the zero product property tells me that each one of those can equal 0. Now, this one's easy. We can say x equals negative 1 is an answer. This one, this 2 messes things up a little bit for just doing opposites, so I have to do a little bit of work. 2x plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3, I get 2x equals negative 3. divide by 2, I get x equals negative 3 halves. So not nice, neat integer answers like all the other ones, but still doable by factoring. Just a little bit more work. Like I said, next week we're going to do that one a completely different way, which will be better. So half the idea is learning which way to go about doing some of these. Okay? All right, last one of these, 14, you could add 1, divide by 4, get a fourth. All right, and then take the square root and get plus or minus a half. Or we could solve by factoring and get 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. That is the difference of two squares. If, again, there's this 2 in front, so we just can't take the opposite of the factor. So 2x plus 1 equals 0. I subtract 1. That gives me 2x equals negative 1. Divide by 2, I get x equals negative 1 half. Here I add 1, or I start off with 2x minus 1 equals 0. So 2x equals 1, so x equals a half. Okay, so those are your two answers. All right, back again, review from last unit. If we look at these, we'll go through, I already have them done. We'll just talk through them. Number 15, we want to go from from standard form to vertex form. So we're going to complete the square. Or you could always type into your calculator and see where the vertex is. But I completed the square. I added 9 and subtracted 9. I factored the first three things to be x plus 3, the quantity squared. A positive 2 and a negative 9 combined together to be negative 7. So it's x plus 3, the quantity squared, minus 7. Number 16, I just factored to be x minus 3 and x minus 2. Number 17, I have to take x minus 5 times x minus 5, foil that out, and get x squared minus 10x plus 25. Add the 2 in my equation, where y equals x squared minus 10x plus 27. Number 18, I foil to get y equals x cubed plus 3x minus 10. All right, number 19, we want to go all the way from factored form to vertex form, so we got to go through standard form in the middle. So I foiled it out to get x squared plus 6x plus 8. And then I add 9 and subtract 9. I get x plus 3 in the parentheses squared with a minus 1. Okay, 20, same idea. We got to go through that middleman of standard form to get to factored form. So I take x plus 2 times x plus 2 minus 1. Foil, and I get x squared plus 4x plus 4, subtracted 1, and I get x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay, that's standard form. I want factored form, so now I factor that to be y equals the quantity x plus 3 times x plus 1. Done. All right, next one a little more challenging. All right, I take x plus 4 times x plus 4. I foil that to get x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now I have to distribute the 2 to get 2x squared plus 16x plus 32. Then I can subtract 7 at the very end and get a final thing of 2x squared plus 16x plus 25 as standard form. And on the last one, this one we didn't do very much of in class. We usually, most of you, I think, typed that into your calculator, found the vertex, and then wrote it in vertex form. That negative out in front really makes this a challenging problem. So you can do it. I factored out a negative 1. That left me with x squared minus 4x plus 5. I put that in brackets just because we're going to have a lot going on there. Inside the brackets, I added 4 and subtracted 4. So that gave me x minus 2, the quantity squared. And then the plus 5 and the minus 4 in the bracket became plus 1. And then you have to distribute that negative that we took out at the very beginning. So we get negative of the parenthesis squared, and then we get negative of the 1. So it's negative of x minus 2, the quantity squared, minus 1. And that is vertex form. So again, I don't think we spent a lot of time on that one in class. We did that one mostly with our calculator. Much easier to do it that way. So again, practice of what we've been doing, what we've already done, and just kind of trying to get you some math this spring while we're under this quarantine and not being able to see each other. So hopefully that helps. Again, if you have any questions, email me or text me or even call me, and I'll be glad to help you. So again, stay safe and stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you back in May.